for interest rates to rise. We're hearing some conflicting reports in the last 24 hours. Will interest rates rise or will they stay put? Well, the RBA Governor, Philip Lowe, has categorically ruled out rising interest rates in 2022, we think. But if rates do go up, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars on your mortgage. Now, I want to bring in an expert for some advice for you all. Pete Steele is the founder of True Savings, and he joins me live on the line. G'day, Pete. Welcome back to Drive.
Hey, Jim. Great to be with you again.
Top line, do you think rates will rise in the near future?
Oh, look, I think they will in the next 6 to 9 months. I think the RBA does an incredibly important job, but it's all about for them managing inflation. And I think there's a lot of signs that inflation's starting to creep up. We've done incredibly well through the pandemic. And as the world opens up and we get more tourists and students and others coming, I think we're going to have a lot of heat in the economy. And so I think there's a very real chance of a rate rise.
So if rates do rise in the next 6 to 9 months, as you're saying, it could have a huge impact on people's ability to pay their mortgage. Do you think the RBA would consider that when they decide if they will raise them or not?
Look, I think the RBA does consider many factors, but I'd tell you their number 1, 2 and 3 priority is inflation. And I don't think it'll hold them back. They are very gold on appropriately getting inflation into their acceptable range. And there's always, unfortunately, people who are overcommitted or going to struggle with any interest rate rise. I think the banks do a pretty good job of, when they assess people, making sure they can handle some interest rate rises. But unfortunately, there's going to be tens of thousands of families who are going to be impacted, and the RBA will just move anyway.
Okay. So, I mean, you're a former CBA executive. What do you think people should do? I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? The dilemma. Do you think they should stick with a variable rate, or should they look to fix their mortgages?
It's a tough one. It always depends on personal risk and how you sleep at night. You very rarely save money, a lot of money fixing, but you really can, sleep better and reduce the risk that you feel. But everyone's personal circumstances are quite different. Certainly, my team at TrueSavings.com, we talk to a lot of customers. A lot of customers end up fixing, say, a quarter or a half of their loan, and that gives them real peace of mind. And they're still incredibly low rates, even though they have been increasing in the last month.
And has there been a rush in recent weeks for people who are locking in, who are fixing?
Yeah, they're both getting a rate lock for people who are looking for a new loan and also fixing for their current loan. There's been a lot of interest. So I think, again, people are seeing the signs and trying to get in ahead. And certainly I think that the banks have lots of very smart people who look at the future and try to predict rates. And so if they're increasing interest, the fixed rates now, I'd say there's a very high chance they're seeing variable rates go up in the future as well.
Okay, so bold prediction time. 12 months from now, is the cash rate still 0.1%, or do you think they will raise that? And what do you think they'll raise it to?
Well, I think Philip and the RBA certainly have a lot of power there, but obviously my view is a little bit more bullish than some of the pack. So I'm happy to say October this time next year, we're talking it's going to be around 0.25%. I think we'll see a rate rise from the RBA in the next 12 months.
So the person that, I suppose, first home buyers in particular who'll be listening to the program this afternoon, they're listening to you and they're sitting there going, if they do go and put these cash rates up, the RBA, I fear that a lot of people won't be able to handle the increased payments as far as their mortgage goes, which where does that leave the housing market?
Yeah, I think that's true. We've done some research, and there are definitely tens of thousands of people who are already under mortgage stress. So you unfortunately see some forced sales. Again, the banks do allow a bit of buffer. They do work with customers to try to avoid selling out their homes. So I don't think it'll be a massive impact in the housing market. I think there's a lot of supply coming on the housing market at the moment, certainly in Sydney, and you'll see maybe the supply will see a slight drop in prices, but then as international travel opens up and immigrants come back in again, I think we're going to see a lot of demand in Sydney and prices go back up again next year.
And will that demand also extend to our regions? Because regional New South Wales in particular, places, let's say, an hour and a half, 2 hours from Sydney, they're skyrocketing in prices.
My personal view is they probably had a good run, and that run will flatten now because basically most people who wanted to get out of the city, they drove that demand. But now that restrictions are opening up, again, travel's open, I think you'll see that flatten out rather than continue as a strong growth. And I think you'll see unfortunately for the people trying to buy a house in Sydney or Melbourne, you'll see increased growth in the big capital cities.
Pete, thanks for your insights, your analysis. It's going to be a very interesting 6 to 12 months as far as interest rates go.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Pete. That's Pete Steele, founder of True Savings, and you can check them out at truesavings.com. It is 4:27.